Good afternoon to my dear friends. Today we am going to talk to you about the type of a poem that is ode. Ode is a serious composition which is in the form of an appeal to animate or inanimate thing. For example, John Keats' poem Ode on Grecian Urn. The first line shows this particular trait or feature. The first line, John Keats appeals to urn, Grecian urn. The line I quote, "Thou still unravished bride of quietness." He is appealing, he is addressing to that inanimate thing that is Grecian earth, like a bride. He is calling he is calling it as a bride which is unaffected by the time. So the poem ode which today I'm going to talk about is William Wordsworth's Ode to Duty. Wordsworth is one of the phenomenal writer. He is a prolific writer of Romantic age in the British literature. With his publication of lyrical ballad in 1798, the Romantic age begins. Along his friend Samuel Taylor Coleridge, he published that anthology of the poem. And from that point of time, the Romantic age begins in the British literature. The present poem, that is Ode to Duty, which was published in 1807, reflects his thoughts on the necessity of observing the principle of duty in one's life. His poem is modeled on Thomas Gray's poem Ode to Adversity, which is published in 1753. And this poem also, that is Ode to Adversity by Thomas Gray, is modeled on Horace's poem Ode to Fortune. The present poem, that is Ode to Duty, is about the role and function of the duty in human conduct or behavior in personal and social life. Wordsworth does not usually use abstract idea objects for his poetry. However, he uses the abstract concept of duty in the present poem. In this poem, he advocates the need for the restraint of duty on the unchartered or uncontrolled freedom. He advocates the need for restraint of duty on the unchartered or uncontrolled freedom. He emphasizes the moral sentiment of the strict observance of duty in one's life to make it happier, peaceful, and meaningful. By duty, he does not mean obeying or following the rules laid down by religious or a state authority. Rather, his concept of duty continues a strong sense of conscience and righteousness. The lines from Seneca's letter in epigraph helps in developing the opening and meaning of the poem, which brings out Wordsworth's idea of duty. It states that one may not be a good person by nature, but if he follows the path of duty for a long time, then he can know only what is good and righteous. In the first stanza, the poet personifies duty as a daughter of the voice of God. This daughter is a star. She works like a torch that guides the right path for the people and corrects those who do wrong. She saves from the temptations in life and works as a law in itself, like a ruler rules the people through terror. Duty provides calmness, fulfillment, and peace to the duty bound people by protecting them from the trivial struggle of human life. The second stanza tells us that there are some people who govern themselves through the inner sense of conscience of right and wrong. They do not care whether they are observed by the strict rule of duty because they do what need to be done as responsible citizens. They are guided by the principle of love and truth. But if they go wrong, the duty brings them to the right path. The third stanza further explains the life of the duty bound people, those who conduct their life with the moral obligations of doing good and noble and believing in the great power of love for all forms of life. They live a peaceful and happy life. Such people may not consciously know what they are following the rules of duty. However, duty supports them when they need its help. From the fourth stanza onwards, the poem shifts to the autobiographical note in the life of the poet. Wordsworth mentions that in his youth he never thought of the rule of duty. He loved and enjoyed limitless freedom of the soul and spent a life guided by his inner wishes and desires. Of course, in the following his own inner impulses, he has not broken the limits of moral and sensible behavior. Now, as a grown up person, he has made his mind to follow the path of duty. The first stanza explains that he has decided to follow the path of duty, not because of any of the weakness or wrongdoings of his past of life. Rather, his decision comes out of the quietness of thought and the maturity of the mind. Through the experience of life, he has realized that only law can give and assure the best freedom. The freedom is achieved and enjoyed with the bounds. So he rejects, I quote, the unchartered freedom, unquote, and the, I quote, chance desire, unquote, and decides to submit to the duty to enjoy a permanent state of a peaceful and blessed life. The sixth stanza develops the central argument of the poem, the relation between God, nature, and man. For Wordsworth, God is not limited to any religion, especially not only to Christianity. For him, the notion of God represents a controlling power that puts things in proper order. In this stanza, he calls duty as a strict divine lawgiver. The objects in nature follow the strict rules designed for them. The cycle of the seasons of nature never deviates from their given course. The flowers bloom at the right time, the stars and the other objects in the space, which Wordsworth called the, I quote, ancient heaven, unquote, move in their designated orbit or route. If they start moving as per their whims and wishes or uncharted freedom, the universe will lose its harmony and will get destroyed. It is duty. It is their duty. It is due to the strict rule of duty that heaven is fresh and strong even after millions of the years and will continue to remain so in the future years to come. The nature strictly follows the direct dictates of duty and creates and preserves natural harmony intact. The human beings are the blessed and beloved inmates of nature, and hence they too should follow the path of the duty in order to make their life happy and meaningful. The seventh and the final stanza of the ode strongly justify the poet's decision to submit himself willingly and consciously in the charge of duty. They request the daughter, I quote, daughter of wives of God, unquote, that is, I quote, duty, unquote, to put an end to his flaws of following the path of restricted freedom and desires to make him wise, humble, and thoughtful. He asks her to bless him with the true spirit of self sacrifice. It means a journey from the selfish egotism to the selfless altruism. He is now assured that only reason and not mere spontaneous impulse can make one responsible and duty bound inmates of nature. He urges the duty to make him her bondman, that is a slave, rather a devotee who will live a content life in the light of truth provided by the duty. The poem continues with the Wordsworth mission of establishing a man's relation with nature. In his Immortality Ode, Wordsworth discusses the relationship of a child with the nature. The child is not aware of the sense of duty. However, he is taken in by the awe of the nature and enjoys the bounties of the nature. The same child, when becomes adult, understands the power of nature in its systematic, duty-bound course of action. If Immortality Ode sings the song of innocence, Ode to Duty sings the song of experience. A child lives a carefree life of bliss as it leads its life without malice or hatred against others. An adult can too live a life of bliss and happiness, of course, not through innocence but through a conscious decision to follow a life of restraint, responsibility, and dutifulness, to be hopeful, to be happy, and to make others happy. The ode is written in 7 stanzas of 8 lines each. Each stanza repeatedly follows the same rhyme scheme of the first stanza, which is ABAB, CCDD. The poem uses poetic devices and figures of speech, such as epitaph, apostrophe, personification, hyperbole, alliteration, simile, metaphor, and allusion. So, with this, I conclude my session. Thank you, all of you, for being with me.